Why do you think we smoke so much pot? It's because we're done. We are done with all the anxiety that stepping out your front door causes you. Hello, my name is Janet. I'm an ex-Disney artist who quit my job, moved out of LA, left the big city, and moved out to a cabin in the woods where I currently reside and do home improvement projects. I basically share what your life could look like if you decide to leave the big city and move out and live your dream life. It seems like a lot of people who left California or other big cities are running back because they regret their decisions. I think that's a really big fear that's on a lot of people's minds who are considering moving. They don't want to be that idiot who left a good thing and need to come back. So in this video, after 3 or 4 months of leaving, I'm going to go back to LA and see if I regret it. I saw this TikTok recently about this guy born and raised in California talking about how he ain't ever leaving California because he does not care about all the things I basically outlined in my Why I'm Leaving California video. Because Californians don't care about the taxes, they don't care about how expensive it is to live there, they don't care about the traffic. There are about 3 things a born and raised Californian actually cares about, which is why we think it's the best state in the entire country and we're never going to leave. 1, the Mary Jane. 2, the weather. 3, the community. We're really chill. We probably know how to chill the hardest out of every state in the country. And as a born and raised Californian, I have to say, you're not wrong. I completely understand because I felt the exact same way until I decided to travel a little bit and see what else is out there. Because before I actually traveled, I said all these things without actually knowing the truth of the matter. The first thing I noticed about coming back to California after living in Prescott, Arizona for about 3 to 4 months, the traffic is anxiety inducing. As a Californian, I understand why we don't actually care that much about the traffic because we're so used to it. But after going back, it's really bad. As a now visitor, I can bear with sitting in traffic for 2 hours just to get to the beach. But you don't realize how much you're just sitting in traffic, wasting away your life most of the time. I think the saddest part about all this is when you're living there full time and you were born and raised there, you don't realize how accustomed you've gotten to the traffic and how anxiety inducing it actually is until you leave. Because if I told any of my friends living in California now that you have so much baseline stress that you think is normal that you don't even realize it, you'll call me the crazy one. You'll say,
I'm not stressed, I feel perfectly fine.
But if you think about it, why do you think we smoke so much pot? It's because we're done. We are done with all the anxiety that stepping out your front door causes you. If you're anything like me, most people just pick a city to live in and you only ever go 20 to 40 minutes away from that city, which means you might go to the city over, but you never actually go downtown to have drinks. You never actually go to the beach because it's 2 hours there and then 2 hours back. So half your day is practically gone. Another thing that this TikTok said was that Californians only really want to move to maybe 5 other states. There's New York, Florida, Texas, and maybe a few others. And I think that's another reason so many Californians are going back to California. We love LA. We wouldn't move if we didn't feel like we had to. So when we pick a state like Texas, let's say, and we check out Dallas and we love it, it's a big city just like LA, we feel really comfortable. We eventually want to move back because we think it's basically LA but not as great. That's essentially why I ended up not actually moving to Phoenix or Dallas, because I realized that. I realized I would be making a huge mistake by moving to a city that to me felt less than the home I grew up with. What a lot of people don't realize when they're moving from their hometown, especially a big city like LA, is you're not actually choosing between different cities, you're choosing between different types of lifestyles. So I realized going back to LA after living in a small town and getting used to the more small town rural lifestyle, that is what I was trading for the city life. I love the city as a young person, not so much as I'm getting older and I'm trying to slow down. Another thing I noticed right off the bat when I was visiting was I really wanted to eat and drink all the things that I can't really get here, which is really lacking in Asian food. The thing is, everything is so incredibly expensive in LA. I don't drink that much, so I have a pretty low tolerance to alcohol. I need about 3 to 4 cocktails that cost at least $16 to $20 per cocktail in order to get the proper amount of lit that I want to get. That is easily $100 $30 for a night out. Food is easily $25 per person, at least. And the saddest part, maybe it was my nostalgia for Californian food, but it didn't even taste that good for the price I was paying. Whereas I can get a really hefty burger or steak here and a beer, and it costs me half the amount it would cost there, and it tastes so much better. When you have tried Texas quality food, when you have tried Arizona quality food right next to the farms, there is no comparison. California food is expensive, overpriced, and not very good. So instead of going to the beach because it takes 4 hours out of your day, or going to lunch with friends because it's going to make you broke, and you're already broke because you're paying an ungodly amount in rent, you just sit at home and smoke pot, because that's all you have the energy to do. You do that all weekend long so you can pump yourself up by Monday to drag yourself to work just to make enough money to simply exist. You're not really living, you're working and smoking most of your life away. You're not really doing anything. This, at least, was the majority of my adult life in California. You know, it feels a little bit like Stockholm Syndrome. Like, we Californians don't realize it's happening in the moment. We say it's fine as everything is burning up around us, but it really isn't. It's just you're trying to fool yourself in your mind that it's okay and this is great. You live in California, you're a Californian. One of the things I realized I never really thought about until I'm visiting California is how bad California actually is to raise kids. I went back to California to visit for a week, meaning I went to restaurants, I went to beaches, I went and had fun. But instead, I came back feeling so incredibly anxious. I'm so glad to be back home so I can relax. Now add having kids on top of that and dealing with all the school choice stuff and the danger of LA as a parent, just trying to make sure your child does not die. I was driving between Wilshire and Sunset, and if you live there, if you know, you know. There are no right turn signs past, I would say, 10, 11 p.m. because there are ladies of the night on every street corner. It is so blatant at this point, I was kind of shocked. I will say it like this. If you grew up in that area, you have gotten so used to it, you don't even bat an eye. But imagine trying to start a family. Your kids will be around that. So I've said a lot of negative things that I do not miss about California and visiting. It just reminded me, oh boy, I'm glad I left. But there are a few things that I do miss. The major one is the people. I love the people of California who are Californians. They are so chill. We really know how to have a good chill time. As a Californian, I'm going to speak for all of us, even though I shouldn't, but I don't really like to party in the way people think, like going out and getting drunk at the club. I like the chill backyard barbecues, hanging out with your friends, having a little kickback. It's that vibe that I love so much. It's that warm community. After experiencing a couple different cities, I've only ever experienced that vibe in California. Oh my god, there's a deer. I will show you this deer. Oh, it's a family of deers. Oh, how precious. That was very distracting. It's a constant balancing act when you're so happy to be hanging out with these people, to share your space and time with people who are transplants who don't really know how to adopt this chill LA vibe, and they have this weird idea of what they think Californians and LA people should act like. And I don't know where they get this idea. I don't even know why they act like this. It feels like they're trying to flex on social media or something, and they're just so much. They are so much. If you're from California, you probably know what I'm talking about. There are these obnoxious people that are like, I'm so LA. And I'm like, you are not. You give me anxiety for being around you. I don't know if I should call this lady out. Let's just say we paid a lot of money to see a concert, and the people around us who also paid a lot of money to see this concert weren't really there to see the concert. They were there to be seen, and they wanted everyone around them to know, even though I'm just trying to have a good time. That's about it. That's about all I miss about LA, because across the board, everything else is better here. I do acknowledge moving isn't going to be for everyone. Like I said, it's a lifestyle change. If you're thinking about moving to any big city, pick your poison. They're all pretty much the same because they're all big cities. What you're actually choosing between is different types of lifestyle. Do you want to live in a big city? Do you want to live in a small town? Do you want to live in really, really rural, middle of nowhere so that you can be left alone. Some people want that. I definitely sometimes want that. Since I moved to a small town, I'll share what it's like going from a big city to a small town. The main thing that's really kind of uncomfortable, small town people don't really like you when you first move in. Everyone is wary of new people because it's their home. Typically, they love their home and they're very protective of it. I certainly was as an LA person. There's a lot of xenophobia going on. Some might assume that it's racism. And the thing is, maybe you and I will never actually know. But from my experience, I don't actually think that's it. I think it's just simply people don't want you ruining this amazing paradise they call home by being dumb and rude and probably leaving in the next year or so anyways. I've learned that if you're generally a chill, nice, friendly person, they'll get used to you really quickly and you'll most likely be friends. Because that's the thing about small towns. It's a small town with only so many people who live there. And if you don't get along with someone, you're probably going to be enemies for life and it'll be a very, very uncomfortable situation. So you can't really be a dickhead when you go and move to a small town, and they can't really be that mean to you either. Once you get used to that difference in small town living versus big city living, it's actually kind of nice. I feel like I was able to make more connections and in a weird way meet a lot more people than I normally would living in a really big city, where everyone does not care about what you're doing, who you are, just get out of my face. That's the kind of attitude you get used to. But if that's completely foreign to you and that bothers you, it's probably not right for you. Also, if you're young and you want to party and you want that anxious city lifestyle and you want to meet new people, small town living is also probably not for you. I think that's why a lot of young people from small towns want to go out and move to the big city and eventually come back when you're older, ready to retire, ready to start a family and settle down, or generally to slow down. You've had your fill of city life, anxiety, and now you are stressed out and you want to chill, like me. So the big question, do I regret it? 100% I do not regret it. I don't think I am going to move back to California anytime soon. If I somehow make it rich and am able to afford a beach house in Malibu, maybe, but that is probably never going to happen. So I will settle for pretty much the same thing in Prescott, Arizona, because let me tell you, everyone always says the weather in LA is so great, but right now in LA, it's 110 degrees. It's not actually really nice unless you are fortunate to own a multi-million-dollar home next to Malibu. Whereas here, it's pretty much 75 to 80-ish degrees every single day. It is absolutely beautiful, and instead of the beach, I go sit by the lake, and the lake is maybe 15 to 20 minutes away, and I might see deer. I've always been an introvert that just kind of dealt with growing up in a big city, but now that I get to choose where I get to live, I really do think a smaller, more rural town was more my speed. Moving is always going to be a little bit risky, and you might not like it. You might want to move back. That's always a possibility. But all you can do is do as much research as you can, visit the places multiple times. I'm so in love with my new home. I didn't really realize how much I've truly fallen in love with this place until I went and visited California, and it really confirmed it for me. If you can do me a really big favor and like this video for the engagement, because we know how the YouTube algorithm is a finicky lady, especially if this video helped you out in any way. In the next video, I'm going to show you how I DIY built-in bookshelves completely from scratch. So make sure to subscribe to be notified when that video comes out.